Hello and welcome to Today in History for March 8th. I'm Michael Powell. On March 8th of 2014, we lost a plane that we still have not figured out where it went. Malaysia Airlines Flight was vanished with more than 200 people on board. On March 8th of 2014, Flight 370, carrying 227 passengers and 12 crew members, lost contact with air traffic control less than an hour after taking off from Kuala Lumpur, then veered off course and disappeared. Most of the plane and everyone on board are never seen again. The plane departed from Kuala Lumpur International Airport at 12:41 a.m. and was scheduled to arrive in Beijing Capital International Airport at 6:30 a.m. local time. However, at 1:07 a.m., the aircraft's last automated position report was sent, and at 1:19 a.m., what turned out to be a final voice transmission from the cockpit of the doomed jetliner was relayed to air traffic controllers. Good night, Malaysian 370, a message that suggested nothing out of the ordinary. About an hour after Flight 370 was scheduled to land in Beijing, Malaysia Airlines announced it was missing. Prior to the aircraft's mysterious disappearance, it had been flying seemingly without incident. There were no distress signals from the plane or reports of bad weather or technical problems. The ensuing search for Flight 370 initially was centered on the Gulf of Thailand, where the plane was traveling when radar contact was lost. Investigators looked into the possibility of terrorist involvement in the plane's disappearance after it was discovered that 2 passengers had been using stolen passports. However, this theory, at least in relation to the 2 men, soon was determined to be unlikely. The people on board 370 represented 15 nations, with more than half the passengers from China and 3 from the United States. Then on March 15th, investigators said that satellite transmissions indicated Flight 370 had turned sharply off its assigned course and flown west over the Indian Ocean, operating on its own for 5 hours or more. On March 24th, Malaysia's Prime Minister announced the flight was presumed lost somewhere in the Indian Ocean, with no survivors. As the search for the aircraft continued, more than 24 nations, including the United States, were participating in the effort. The mystery of how a commercial jetliner could vanish without a trace received global media attention. In June of 2014, Australian officials involved in the investigation said radar records suggested the Flight 370 likely was flying on autopilot for hours before it ran out of fuel and crashed into the southern Indian Ocean. The officials did not publicly speculate about who put the plane on autopilot after it veered off course, or why, although they did indicate it was possible the crew and passengers had become unresponsive due to hypoxia or oxygen loss. No explanation for what might have caused the oxygen deprivation was provided by the officials. Meanwhile, other authorities suggested one of the pilots of Flight 370 could have deliberately flown the aircraft into the Indian Ocean on a suicide mission, although there was no conclusive evidence to support this theory. Throughout 2015 and 2016, debris from the aircraft washed ashore on western Indian Ocean, but the fate of Flight 370 remains a mystery. Still trying to solve that flight missing, and nothing has happened yet. For Today in History, I'm Michael Powell. Join me again tomorrow and see what that day will bring. Until then, watch this.